work sample in the system. And when I hit save, it went to the press queue. It wasn't an official document. It wasn't official charges. It was the dry run. It was a work sample. That was the best word I could come up with. It was fictitious. It wasn't real. It didn't have a stamp on it. We've been getting some calls. I tell my staff we just want to be transparent, right? And so I don't have anything to hide.
Good for her. That's the Fulton County Clerk, Shay Alexander. She was saying that she accidentally clicked send instead of save. I'm glad she's being transparent about it, but I don't. Do you believe the send or save? I think it's, okay, so this seems to be like one of those strategies where you tell a little bit of the truth to mask the rest of the lie, in a way, right? Doesn't it kind of seem that way? Welcome back to the program. Dana Loesch here with you, top of this second hour. Or am I overanalyzing, Kane?
No, that sounds right.
Right? Like you just put out a little bit of the truth to hide the rest of the lie.
Yeah.
So it's, well, I did hit send and said that's what it was. And it was all constructed. We were all ready because we knew what this was going to be. I mean, it's just like she left that part out, right? I'm just saying. I don't know. Well, like I said, welcome back to the program. You can get we'll have our our discussion with Governor Ron DeSantis up on YouTube, and we'll send out a post about it as well. But this thing going on in Fulton County, I just so when yesterday I told you if you get the newsletter chapter and verse over at Substack, I moved my younger son into his college dorm, and I talked to. He's taking advantage of the scholarships. He's like, why not? He's the ace student and all of that. It's funny because he simultaneously thinks it's a racket, but then is also like, if you're gonna just pay for me to go here, then okay, I'll go. So he's gonna take some business classes and learn coding and become dangerous. He wants to be the person that runs the machines. So that's kind of his whole, no joke, that's his whole thing. So he'll do it. This kid is unbelievable. So while we were on the long drive back and going over some of these, looking over some of the charges, because I'm like, maybe I'm missing something. Maybe, and I was talking to a couple of friends of mine who are attorneys, and the more I read it, the more it makes less sense to me. So in the fog of information, when all of this was breaking and we were looking at why are you using a RICO Act in Georgia, and this umbrella to put everything under. And at first look, it looks like it had more specificity than Jack Smith's case. But now I don't know. Because it's like you're throwing everything in the kitchen sink under this umbrella, hoping that something sticks under RICO. So now I'm wondering, does it really have more specificity than the Jack Smith stuff? What lost me was the thing about the tweets. That's what lost me. I couldn't take it. I couldn't take it I could not read, I think it was page 50 something. I could not read it with any more seriousness after I read that. And I was like, okay. I was trying to be objective, and I was trying to be, I'm just going to look at this very objectively. I'm going to do my job for you all, my audience, and I'm going to go through it. But then after I read that, I'm like, okay, I can't look at it seriously anymore. It's ridiculous. So the trial date, they said they want to do this the day before Super Tuesday. Mm-hmm. That's what what is it? Fani Willis has said. Wants to do it the day. I'm sure that's just a coincidence. But is that going to help or hurt? I think at some point it's like a war of attrition that the left is undertaking against the former president. It really is. It's like a war of attrition. They're just going to wear everything down. I did warn you of this. I said this months ago that this was going to be their plan. It's going to be like this war of attrition. They have the media on their side. Now, I will say, thankfully, I think Trump does have an attorney who is smart in advising him. I told y'all, I will always be straight, no chaser with you. That's why I tell you who I like and who I don't like. Everyone else is acting. If they're saying that they don't know yet, they're flipping liars. They're acting. Trust that. Some of them are really bad at it. But at the same time, I have this instinctive, natural distrust of all politicians. So I just tell you what I like and what I don't like. With this, I am glad. I didn't like the Sidney Powell. I thought that he had a lot of I thought he had some bad advisors around 2020, particularly at the end. I really did. There were some that if I would have recommended that he go with a couple of other different people, not some of the ones that he had around him. Thankfully, he does have apparently somebody good around him because he was planning this big press conference to go after the Georgia stuff. He put this up a couple of days ago on his social media platform, and he had scheduled it for Monday of next week, and it was going to be in Bedminster. He had set a large, complex, detailed but irrefutable report on what happened in Georgia, and he said it's going to be presented by me, etc. There's all of this, and he put that up there, and apparently, word is that he has some legal advisors who said, "Oh my gosh, no, stop," and they're telling him, "Don't you dare do it." Oh, please, everyone should say a prayer that he listens to his attorneys. This has nothing to do with liking or disliking him. Again, going into 2024, I want to have the strongest. I want my plan A. I told you this, my plan B, plan C. I always have plans for my plans and backup plans for my backup plans. And because I'm selfish. You want to know why? Because I want to be left alone. I want my taxes to go down. I don't want to have to give as much as I have to give to the Department of Treasury so that we can launder it for Joe Biden over in Ukraine. I want to be left alone. I mean, I could sit here and act like I'm done. First and foremost, I'm doing it for me. I love me. Love me. And I also love my country. But I love me. And I just want to be left alone. So I'm looking at the best plan going forward. And I want to make sure that my top 3 contenders, I want to make sure that I don't want them to be bogged down by stupid errors of their own creation. So he needs to listen to his attorneys. Oh my gosh, please pray that he's listening to his attorneys. Because he'll walk into something. They'll be able. I feel like it's bait. Don't you? I feel like they're baiting him to do something because they know that he does. They know that he goes out there and he just goes and talks and he does, and that's fine in any other instance except for this one. Because they're waiting for you to make a mistake, or they're waiting for you to say one thing that they can use, whether it's innocently said or not. One thing. I mean, for crying out loud, you guys remember we played it live January 6th. He went out there and he was like, "Go home peacefully." I mean, I don't know how much more straightforward you can be. Go home peacefully is kind of the opposite of riot the hell up, right? I mean, it seems pretty opposite. And then they're like, "Oh, he's inciting a riot because he told people to go home peacefully." So if that much can be twisted, and then they can try to, with their weaponized agencies, indict him for that, then who's to say what they wouldn't go after if he decides to hold a free-willing press conference? There are times you have to know when to play to your strengths, and you have to allow also the other people who you hire for their expertise to be able to play to theirs. And if they're telling him, "Look, dude, now's not the time. Stop," he needs to listen to them. I mean, I'm sure he wants to hold a press conference because he's running for president. He wants to be able to do this. His attorneys are like, "You can't." So it may not happen. Do we know the latest word on that? I don't think we do. It may not happen. But that it's, like I said, they're trying to prosecute this war of attrition. And he cannot play into it. He's not going to be able to play into it.